Imagine the entire world continuing as normal. A man is driving to work. A mother is calling her child. A student is making plans for next week. A businessman is thinking about profit. Someone is. Someone is sinning without fear. Someone is delaying prayer, believing there is still time. And then, a sound. Not a sound like thunder, not a sound like an explosion, but a sound so overwhelming, so final, so absolute, that mountains will lose their strength, oceans will lose their calm, the sky will lose its order, and every soul will realize that the end has begun. In Islamic belief, one day the angel Israfil will blow the trumpet, and with that first blast, the world as we know it will collapse. But what will that moment really be like? What will happen to the earth? What will people see? And why do most human beings live as if that day will never come? Tonight, we explore one of the most terrifying realities in Islamic eschatology: the first blast of the trumpet, the collapse of creation, and the warning hidden inside our everyday comfort. The end of the world will not come when humanity is prepared. It will come while people are distracted. That is what makes it terrifying. People will still be living normal lives. They will still be buying and selling, still arguing, still chasing money, still postponing repentance, still thinking they have more time. And that is the great illusion of worldly life. Human beings always assume there will be another day, another prayer later, another Ramadan later, another apology later, another chance later. But the truth is this: the future feels guaranteed only because we are weak enough to forget how fragile we are. The day of judgment is not frightening only because of what will happen. It is frightening because it will interrupt a world that thought it was stable. Among the great angels created by Allah is Israfil. In Islamic tradition, Israfil is associated with the trumpet, the instrument that will mark the end of the present world and the beginning of a reality from which no one can escape. Think about what that means. Entire civilizations have risen and fallen. Kings ruled and disappeared. Nations fought wars. Empires built monuments. Technology advanced. Humanity crossed oceans, touched space, and filled the earth with noise. And yet, above all of that, there remains one unseen command waiting to be fulfilled. One command from Allah, one blast. And everything humanity trusted will be shown for what it truly is: temporary. That is the true weakness of the world. It looks permanent. It feels permanent. People build their identities inside it as if it will last forever. But in truth, this world stands at the edge of disappearance. So what happens when Israfil blows the trumpet? The first thing to understand is that this is not just a symbolic moment. It is not poetry. It is not metaphor. It is a real event in the unseen future. A moment will come when the first blast is sounded, and the order of creation will begin to break. Imagine hearing something that is not simply loud, but world-ending. A sound that does not merely enter the ears, it shakes existence itself. The mountains that people see as symbols of strength will no longer be secure. The earth that felt stable beneath human feet will no longer feel safe. The sky above, which seemed ordered and vast, will no longer feel untouchable. In one moment, human confidence will collapse. People spend their whole lives trusting what they can see: their homes, their wealth, their plans, their strength, their status, their followers, their intelligence. But the first blast of the trumpet will expose a truth that most people spend their lives running from.
Anything you trust more than Allah can be taken from you in an instant.
The terror of that day is not only death, it is disorder. Today, creation looks disciplined. The sun rises, the moon follows its course. The earth holds us, the sky covers us. The oceans remain within their limits. Everything appears balanced. But when the command comes, that balance will no longer remain. What seemed solid will become unstable. What seemed beautiful will become frightening. What seemed permanent will be shown to be temporary. And this is one of the deepest lessons of the final hour. Human beings are not nearly as powerful as they imagine. We boast, we compete, we disobey, we become arrogant. We assume we control our futures. But the final collapse of the world will reveal just how dependent we always were. The earth was never ours. Time was never ours. Power was never ours. Even our next breath was never guaranteed. And then comes something people rarely imagine. Silence. Today, silence means an empty road, a quiet room, a sleeping city. But the silence after the collapse of creation will be unlike anything the human mind can fully grasp. No markets, no traffic, no arguments, no phones, no distractions, no entertainment, no laughter, no boasting, no political noise, no performance, no pretending. Only the reality of Allah's power. This is one of the most terrifying thoughts of all, that after a lifetime of distraction, a moment will come when distraction ends forever, and then the truth will stand fully exposed. For many people, the problem is not that they do not know the truth. The problem is that noise keeps them from feeling it. But on that day, noise will not save anyone. But the story does not end with destruction. According to Islamic teaching, after the first blast, and after Allah wills, there will be another blast, and then the dead will rise. Think about the scale of that moment. Not one generation, not 2 generations, but every human being, from the beginning of humanity to the very last person who lived before the end, will be brought back. The forgotten will rise. The powerful will rise. The hidden will rise. The oppressed will rise. The arrogant will rise. The righteous will rise. And the sinners who thought they got away with everything will rise too. That is the moment when history becomes personal. Today, people study the past. On that day, they will become part of the final gathering. No one will ask for proof then. No one will say, maybe later. No one will pretend the truth is unclear. That day will not be a debate. It will be a reality. So ask yourself, when the trumpet is blown, what exactly will a human being hold on to? Friends? They will be terrified themselves. Wealth? It will not stand beside you. Status? It will not answer for you. Popularity? It will not protect you. Excuses? They will not matter. This is why the Islamic message constantly reminds us, do not let the world become your Lord. Use it, but never worship it. Live in it, but never belong to it more than you belong to Allah. Because on that day, everything false will disappear, and only what was real will remain. And who will have hope then? Not the person who was perfect, because none of us are perfect, but the person who returned, the person who repented, the person who struggled,
the person who failed but came back to Allah with sincerity. That is the beauty inside the terror. The final hour is terrifying, but Allah's mercy is still open before it arrives.
The purpose of learning about the trumpet is not only to be shocked, it is to wake up. The real question is not, when will the final blast happen? The real question is, if my life ended before that moment, am I ready to meet Allah? That is where the warning becomes personal. People are fascinated by the end of the world, but careless about the end of their own lives. They watch reminders, but delay repentance. They fear cosmic destruction, but ignore the slow destruction of the heart. This is why these realities matter. They are not given to us as stories for entertainment. They are given to us as mercy, as warnings, as reminders, as a chance to return before the door closes. One day Israfil will blow the trumpet. That day is not fiction. That day is not mythology. It is not a symbolic tale meant only to frighten children. It is part of the future of every soul. And when it comes, the world will not be able to defend itself, because the world was never meant to last forever. But right now, before that blast, before that silence, before that rising, the door of mercy is still open. Repentance is still possible. Prayer is still possible. Change is still possible. Returning to Allah is still possible. So if there is one line to remember from this video, remember this: the world only feels permanent until Allah decides it is over. If you want more original Islamic reminders, unseen realities, and powerful stories of the Akhirah, subscribe to The Final Truth and comment below, "I will return before the final trumpet."